Okay, so this is the Philips M1X-DJ. It's got a more complicated model number that I'm not even going to bother with. But yeah, so right off the bat, this thing sounds a million times better than the Gemini Mix to Go. I mean, the sound gets close once you upgrade the speakers, like you perform the speaker upgrade that I did. But out of the box, apples to apples, this thing is a lot better. So first off, the Mix to Go basically copied this thing. So this is probably the first one to start off this whole portable DJ craze. This was co-developed with Armin van Buuren. He's a guy that he's a famous DJ that does a lot of trance music, and that's kind of what this thing is tuned to. But they did a pretty good job. I mean, the mixer and the DJ layout is, how would you say, it's not exactly industry standard. Like, for example, I have some problems with this right here. So these two are your volume sliders for channel 1 and channel 2. And right next to them is the tempo. So if you are getting hype and you completely forget what you're doing and you're just really into the music and you want to bring in the second channel, you might end up hitting this instead and just blast everything into chipmunk mode. And that's going to be a party killer. Not only that, if you're not careful, your thumb can hit it and go up with the rest of it. So you have to be careful when you're messing with the volume sliders. Other than that, the sliders themselves actually feel really good. They're nice and smooth. They do have quite a lot of resolution when you're using them in DJ. Same with the crossfader. The crossfader works really well. But unfortunately, I mean, since this was the first of its kind, you're going to have some issues like, even though the layout is a little strange, but it works, it has its, it has its problems. For example, I for one was surprised to find out that these jog wheels are touch sensitive. I didn't think they were going to be touch sensitive because I thought they were going to be complete plastic and they were just going to, if you spin them, DJ was going to figure out, oh, you're using a jog wheel, and then it would do it accordingly. But no, these are touch sensitive, so that's really, really good. And I can see why. Maybe this was Armin van Buuren's, because he was the one that designed this. Maybe the reason that everything is kind of laid out really weird because of the real estate. There's not much of it on top of this thing. Maybe he wanted bigger jog wheels because he's used to like the Pioneer CDJs. So he said, no, these can't be any smaller than this or else we run into problems. So maybe that's why they're this size. They're taking up most of the controller, and that's why they had to put the tempo sliders here instead of here. And then there was the connector that goes right here for the removable DJ controller. Unfortunately, the DJ controller, although it's removable, you can't use it with anything else. And speaking of not being able to use it with anything else, it's iOS only. So this is a lightning connector on the end of a non-removable cable. So that's another point of contention for me, is that once this cable snaps, you're basically shit out of luck. You're SOL. It's just not going to work. I mean, the layout's more or less basic. So cue, play, pause, you set your cue point. That's another thing that I kind of like about the Mix to Go and the other portable DJ setups, is that they have more cue points, and you can tell this is from its time period. I mean, I think this was released in 2015, maybe 2014. I'd have to check that, so don't quote me on that. But it was released in the mid 2010s, and that was before controllers, or maybe it was around the time controllers started having more cue points, performance pads, and all that cool stuff. And yeah, this has none of that. It's just a basic 2-channel mixer with your basic controls. You got your 3 EQs per channel up here, and like I said, it's just a basic setup. Now, where this thing beats out the Mix to Go is in sound quality. Like, I wasn't expecting the amount of bass that this thing puts out. So, to reiterate, this uses two 5 1/4 inch coaxial drivers that have I think it's a 3/4 inch or maybe it's a 1-inch. No, I think it's 3/4 inch. Dome tweeter, silk dome tweeter. And then this guy in the middle is not a subwoofer. This is a passive radiator. But Philips have been doing the passive radiator thing for quite a long time. They call it the M1X technology. And they're really good at passive radiators, probably the best in the business, because this sounds equal, if not better, to a really well-designed ported system. The amount of bass this throws out for how small it is awesome. Like, off the bat, this sounds 100 times better than the Mix-to-Go, and is very, very close to matching the sound output of the Numark Party Mix Pro. The Party Mix Pro uses an 8-inch woofer, so these two little guys are matching up to an 8-inch woofer, which is a lot bigger and uses more, it's just more powerful. Like the old saying says, there's no replacement for displacement, but they got close with this one. As far as connectivity, it does do Bluetooth. It's very weird to do Bluetooth. I'll show you that in just a second. But on this side, you have your power input for 100 for. I don't know if this is multi-voltage, but it was labeled 120 volts because we are in America. This is where your straps connect. So your straps connect here. This is a cup to pick it up on the side. And then on this side, there is nothing. It's just a black plug that's right here. And again, your handle, your cup handle, and then where your straps go. And this is one thing that that I like about this one that I wish the other two would do, is that even though the controller isn't removable, like it's removable, but you can't use it when it's removed. You can pop it out, flip it over, and then it protects all the knobs and sliders from transport. And you still have some usage to it, like when you put, like, the only way to put this thing into Bluetooth mode is to flip over the controller, because the Bluetooth button is on the other side and you control the volume from your phone. So let's see if I can show you that. So to pick this up, you just pick up one side. You're supposed to pick it up with two hands, but I'm going to try to do this one-handed. Let's see. And you have to be careful because you don't want to bend the pin. Oof, that didn't sound good. So, okay, so see the controller? The controller is actually removable. We're going to set this back here so we can take a look on the inside underneath the controller. So, one thing that the Gemini Mix-to-Go and the Numark Party Mix Pro have that this doesn't is rechargeable batteries. So, the thinking behind this was when Armin van Buuren was designing this with Philips, he said that, well, if you have a party that's going and the batteries run out, you'd have to plug it in somewhere or something like that, and then the party ends. He said that his reasoning was for using D-cell batteries, which are actually right here. Uses 8 D-cell batteries, like an old 1980s boombox. His reasoning for that was, you know, if your batteries run out, just throw out your old batteries, pop in new ones, and the party can continue. Which I don't really agree with, because by the time that you switch out the batteries, the party's probably going to be dead by then anyway. This is another piece of contention just from an engineering standpoint. It probably would have been preferable to use some kind of different pin arrangement here. Or, I mean, it's got two guides here, but these gold-plated pins right here, they're just sticking right up. So if you don't slam this in properly, you could end up bending one of the pins, and this entire thing is foobar. But to get into Bluetooth mode, you take your controller and you put it in. Let's see. I haven't snapped it in. It goes flush with the bottom, with the top of this unit. It's probably maybe about a quarter of an inch, maybe half an inch sticking up. But once you pop this cover on, as you can see here on the back of the controller, you have your Bluetooth button, auxiliary in and auxiliary out. So the aux out is so you can chain multiples of these together, which I don't know anyone in their right mind why would they would do that, but you could probably use that to hook into a bigger speaker. That's another probable reason for that, or use for that. But as far as that goes, I saw a promotional picture of a bunch of these stacked up on top of each other, essentially making a huge PA speaker, and I think they were DJing off that. And there's a YouTube on video somewhere that showing that. But that's one thing. And this, let's see if I can get this out. Ugh, that sounds terrible. So, ooh, is it battery powered? That's new. Didn't know that was a thing. Huh. You can tell I really researched this well, huh? So, I guess that's new. I didn't know you can remove it. Maybe you can DJ with this thing separately. I'll probably add that in the end of the video in a separate one. We'll find out about that. But as far as this goes, if you set up the mixer like that, that's essentially practice mode. We'll shut this off. This is what I like to call practice mode, with the speakers facing you. So since you have all your controls facing you and the speakers, I'd like to call this practice mode so you can hear the sound coming out of the speakers. And then if you take the controller and flip it around that way, then that's performance mode, because that way you have your controls that way and then the speakers blasting this way. So that's probably what you would use it mostly for, you know, for different kinds of get-togethers and all that stuff, a party in the park and all that good stuff. So I guess my final thoughts about this thing is that it was a really well thought out product that had a couple of shortcomings. Unfortunately, this has been discontinued, so I guess this review is kind of pointless. There's a couple of them still on Amazon that you can pick up, but I really wish Philips would have made this for a little bit longer. But other than that, I mean, everything is super quality. I mean, despite its shortcomings, I mean, this is probably a really good introduction into mixing, to be honest. And I'll probably cut into the next part of the video. I'll probably jump cut to me trying out the different versions of DJ that this works with, because this does work with the new version of DJ as well. So let's go into that. So I consulted trusty Manuel to see what that was all about this thing being powered by itself, but it made no mention about anything. It did make mention there was lithium batteries built into this thing, but I believe the lithium batteries are built into the mixing board itself, so theoretically you could probably hook into the auxiliary output and use this mixing board by itself. Theoretically. Don't quote me on that. I'll probably do an experiment with that later. But the only other thing that comes to mind is that this thing could be battery powered, so it can conserve battery power for the speakers themselves if you use D-cell batteries. So instead of using valuable electricity to power the board, it probably has its own built-in battery, so all the power can go to the speakers. Huh, food for thought. So as far as DJ is concerned, the app, so this is one of the only portable DJ systems that is officially supported by DJ. So there's an official map, there's an official everything. It says DJ right on the box. It says that this is specifically for that app. So let's boot it up into the app that it was originally made for. So let's open up DJ2, which unfortunately is no longer available on the App Store. That has been replaced by the new version of DJ when they decided to roll all the versions into one version. So let's see if we can do this one-handed. Alright, let's see. There's the fancy little logo that comes up, and then right away, probably see that it's got a little bit of lag, but it's usable. You're not going to be doing any kind of scratching on here, though. There is a DJ Master Hangsta. I think he was the one that was scratching on one of these, but he's the whole different beast. He is beast. So forget about that. So basically, yeah, your crossfader works here. I personally don't like this look. I like the waveform, so I can take a look at that. But everything works. Pitch sliders all work. So we got, let's see, the EQ. So everything is mapped. There's the bass EQ, treble EQ, high EQ. There's no gain control here. One thing that I don't like about this is the fact that the Mix2Go and the Party Mix Pro have is I've gotten used to using the load function. So if there was like a rotary knob in the center and say load deck A, load deck B, or load deck 1, load deck 2, that would be awesome. I've gotten used to that. I mean, the touchscreen is right here, and I could, but it's just it's more tedious, I guess. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's more tedious to use the touchscreen to pick out your tracks than the rotary knob. I guess I've gotten used to it since I used to DJ with Virtual DJ and on a new Mark Mix Tracks Pro. But as far as that goes, DJ completely 100% works with this. Now let's try. Let's get rid of that. Let's go to unplug this. So you have to. You don't have to unplug it every time, but it's just to show that it recognizes it right at the beginning. So let's plug this in. And as you saw, all the lights are lit up on the DJ controller, and then as soon as it recognizes that it's hooked up into DJ, all of them turn off, and then the rings just become a little bit dimmer, and everything works. So volume slider works. We have our crossfader, that works. Our EQ works. Let's do the low EQ. Oh, that's mid. Let's see, and bass, and everything works. Everything is functional. Tempo sliders, they work, as you can see right there. And then probably what we want to find out is, does it work in the new version of DJ? So that would be the one right here. Now, I haven't confirmed if this. It would suck if it didn't work with the free version of DJ, because this thing should be supported. I haven't. I'll probably report back with that to see if it works, because I have DJ. I was a sucker and I paid for the subscription, so I've got DJ Pro here. Yeah, everything is functional here. So let's go into mixer mode. Let's turn up the brightness a little bit. So in mixer mode, all our functions work. DJ recognizes it okay. Everything works fine. And I play, well, let's see, I might have a track on here that won't trigger the YouTube. God, I forgot the name for it. The Content ID system. Let's try that one. I'm loaded onto deck 1. Okay, so we'll just put the slider over here. See master volume right there, and then play. So the way I would describe the sound is the bass is nice and mellow and warm. There's a lot of it. This thing does reach deep. I'd assume it reaches down into the low 40s, maybe high 30 hertz, because it's a really well-tuned passive radio. This is a really good example of a tuned passive radiator system. The only contention I have is I believe that the tweeter in this has crossed over a little too high, so that mid-high treble is a little bit lacking. But once you turn it up full volume, it kind of evens itself out, because this does have a DSP built in. Because when you really push this at high volume, it tends to cut the bass a little bit. So you can play at high volumes for extended amounts of time without blowing out the two active drivers. Oh, and to show you that they're touch sensitive. That's one thing that could probably be adjusted in the new version of DJ in their MIDI section, is I could probably speed up the jog wheels a little bit, because the jog wheels are a little bit slow. Like, they should be just a tiny bit faster for the size that they are, but that's just a personal thing. But other than that, I really wish they would still make these. I got lucky and I picked one up. They're blowing them out right now on Amazon at the time of recording for around $200, including shipping, because a lot of the sellers that have these are third-party sellers. And the one I got was listed at 150 bucks, but they wanted $50 shipping. But the good thing was it was insured shipping, so if this thing would have gotten damaged during the shipping process, I probably would have gotten a new one or got reimbursed or whatever. But hey, while they're out there, I'd say pick one up. They're well worth it. If you can't pick one of these up, the Mix2Go or the Party Mix Pro are good second choices. I mean, there's only really 3 of these kinds of systems on the market. It's the M1X-DJ, which is the one we're seeing here, the Gemini Mix2Go and the Mix2Go Pro, and the Numark Party Mix Pro. Really, those are the only 3 that are like portable, battery-powered DJ solutions. And out of the 3, this one is the best one as far as sound goes. I mean, there's no flashy, fancy lights or anything like that on the front. It does look slick, though. It's functional, I should say. It was more function over form, or maybe a mix of the two, because it's actually, like I said, it's sharp looking. But yeah, the Mix2Go has it beat as far as the controller, the DJ controller section goes. So I mean, it's got that going for it. But I mean, as an all-rounder, the M1X really was a good product. Like I said, if you can find one, pick it up. Even if it's used and it's in good condition, I'd say still pick it up, because these are really, really nice, especially when they're plugged in. I haven't tried this on batteries, but word on the street is that on battery power, the 80 watts RMS turns into 25 watts RMS, so it's the bass is cut severely, and it probably doesn't get as loud on those 8 D-cell batteries. But I mean, who knows? I mean, hey, if there's an outlet near you, I mean, this is the thing to go to, because it's got a lot of power for how small it is. It sounds like a really good, well-built mini system, like the ones from the 90s. So you could probably hold a small house party with this thing, and you'd be okay. But other than that, like I said, this is a really good buy if you can find one. Because right now they're shipping them out at around 200 bucks, which is actually not a bad price for these. But if you want a that is if you can find one. So, and if not, there's the other 2 choices you can go to. But I guess that's it for this review. This is Radio Raccoon signing out. Have a good one. So this is being battery powered by its internal battery. I just decided to test this to see if that works. And on the underside of the controller, there's an auxiliary out. Decided to use that instead of the one on the board itself. And lo and behold, so that's being fed into this Lepi amplifier right here, and then these 2 Optimus 77s. So yeah, you could use this. I'm not sure how long the battery would last on its own. It could last a couple hours. It could last, I don't know, 5 minutes, because it's a supercapacitor instead of a lithium-ion battery. But this is really cool that you could use this without the speaker system. Just running an aux cord into another speaker system. So, I mean, the only thing is that this master out is useless now. It only works with the speaker system. But everything functions. I mean, so everything works. The touch sensitivity works. Crossfader works. Really, really neat. Alrighty then. That's really cool.